We're going to be talking about the stock market today because we're seeing some optimism on the tariffs. So the stock market is booming and about to go up even more, I would imagine. So now's a good time if you've never gotten into stocks. Like I said, just grab or save $100 and try your luck. You know, it's just like going to the casino. You could win, you could lose. There is a risk involved, but just don't invest too much. Don't invest what you can't afford to lose. And you might be pleasantly surprised with the amount of money that you can make on a very little bit. And all I did over the years was slowly just build and build on it. So like it started with $100. Then say I made $40, so I'm at 140. Oh, well, let me invest another $60. Well, now you have $200 invested. And it's just like a slow crawl like that, like with any investment. If you don't have anything invested at all, the stock market is definitely the first place you want to look. So it can be very overwhelming and confusing when you start. The main thing, whenever you pull up the type of transaction that you're trying to do, you're gonna want to do, to start off with, there'll be market and limit options. You want to do market because whenever you type in 5 shares at market value, whatever it's showing you your cost is, that's what it's going to cost you. And the transaction goes through right away. So if you are new to the stock market, you want to pick the market instead of the limit option, because the market option will give you the price at that very moment whenever you press buy. A limit, it puts an amount like I'm willing to buy 5 of these shares at this price, no higher. So that is for more complex traders. So if you're just starting, market is definitely the way that you want to put in your stock trades. I have been investing since 2020, and I've slowly acquired money throughout. It is a learning curve. You're not going to be perfect at first, but you will get better and better at it. I'm getting smarter and smarter as I practice. So it's very important to just try. If you don't try, you'll never know. So just put a little bit of money in the stock market, consider it a casino trip, and see what can happen. You don't have to invest a lot of money. You can just try your luck, and then you might end up acquiring wealth that you can invest for the rest of your life, so it's an option. The stock market was all green this morning for the most part. It's been a while. It's been a long time coming. The stocks are manipulated and suppressed like everything else, but with the trade deals going on, it's only going to go up from here for now. So it is a good time to try to get in. If you see a stock that you like, just watch it for a day or two. See what it does, how it moves. A lot of stocks, like once you get into it and you get more experience, a lot of stocks will say Taiwan Semiconductor, TSM. The stock usually goes in between $160 to $200. That's like just kind of where it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So now that I've been investing for a long time and watching the stock for a long time, I know that when it's down to the 160-ish zone, that's a good time to buy. A lot of stocks will have like a common area that they move in. So that is definitely something that you can learn over time. You want to get familiar with how the stock moves. There will be jolts and changes, things that you cannot predict. That's why it's the stock market though. So that's just a little bit of advice. If you hear, usually because the deal with China happened this weekend, the market is moving today. But for the most part, if it's something that the market can or thinks that it can predict, it will already be calculated in. Like the day that a big acquisition or a transfer happens, the stock usually already has that factored in a couple days before. So they are a couple days ahead of everyone. That's just something to consider. If you hear like just a little buzz about something, that's the time to hop in and buy. Don't wait until, oh, well, let me see if they make the deal. It's like, no, you got to take that chance, get in before the deal's made, and then hopefully you can get that rise up on the stock. It's just, like I said, there is a gamble. There's always risk involved, so just be careful. Don't start seeing green and investing too much money and then potentially losing it, you know. So you have to consider that every investment can go down to zero if the company goes bankrupt. So it's just something to consider. You usually don't want to hop in either on like a well-established company, like for instance Nike. Nike is already well-established. They don't do great business in my opinion, and you're not going to see a whole lot of movement on a stock like that. You will, however, see movement still on like stocks like Walmart, because Walmart's always like being innovative and trying to stay ahead of the curve, where Nike's just trying to really pump and dump a bunch of crap into society, a bunch of ill-made sneakers with very cheap labor. I know things will be more expensive being made in America, but honestly, we should have done this in 2020, because we're paying American prices for Chinese and foreign goods now. So we're really, I think, taking a step in the right direction. Since 2020, it's been a hard transition for everyone. So if this is temporary pain for permanent gain, if your kids and grandkids can have future job security because we manufacture in the United States again, there's only so many services that you can provide. I've heard that that's kind of the same thing going on in China. Now that China is more developed and probably second in line or potentially even ahead of us, the younger generation doesn't want to do the factory jobs. So they're trying to do like Americans, provide a service, find an easier route to make money. And there's production jobs that need people in their place. So I can see how we got here, but at the end of the day, some people don't want to provide a service. Some people, you know, we have a lot of introverts in this society. So a lot of people just want to be in a warehouse or a factory doing busy work and not socializing or having that social pressure. So it will, like I said, be a transition, but it's something that we need. For instance, the small towns around here, like there is little to no jobs available. I mean, you have to be highly motivated to get a pretty shitty job. So it's just something to consider, you know. Like even like when you're trying to open up your own business, you don't want a business that just provides consulting, because if you're just providing words constantly, unless they're absolutely necessary, like for instance like for your diet and it's gonna save your life, then yes, that is a good service to provide. But if you're, I don't know, I mean, I'm not trying to hate on anyone if anyone is in insurance, but if you are an insurance middle guy trying to make a deal and get your client to pay more so you can get more commission in an already overpriced and disgusting industry, I don't think you have much value. I'm sorry. There's too many middlemen and not enough people doing the work. And that's just my personal opinion. So always try to get the upper hand in the market. I don't know if anyone is trying to transition jobs right now, but the baby boomers are officially 65 and older. They are in their retirement honey hole, and they own most of the businesses in the United States. So it's a good time to enlist, instead of like a lot of these businesses, they feel like, oh, brick and mortar is dying, my business might not make it to the next generation, we might just have to close down. Well, that's where you step in to a I don't know, washateria in your town and be like, hey, I'm just curious, are you guys willing to make a sell on the business? If it is an older owner, a baby boomer of sorts, then a lot of them are looking to get out of the workforce and to get a turnover on their investment, and they already have an established business plan. It shows that the town needs the service or whatever you're providing from the business. So that is something to think about if you're looking for the next step in your career. AI is coming fast and furious, whether we like it or not. We all think that we might be exempt from AI taking our jobs, but I have heard recently that the Google stock and just interest has plummeted, because instead of people asking Google or Googling stuff and then having to do all of the filtering and clicking themselves, you just ask AI. Ask AI, it basically filters everything that's in the Google search and tells you what most people say about the subject that you're asking. So it takes a lot of the dead doom scrolling time out of it, and it's who would ever thought that Google would be taken down, but it's happening. So don't ever think that you're exempt from AI potentially taking over. So it's just something to consider if you are old enough or have enough money to invest in a business, or like I was telling you earlier about investing small amounts now, what you have, instead of spending it on a bunch of stuff that we don't need. 5 seconds of instant gratification from getting that delivery at the door, or opening a shopping bag. Like, do you really need it, or do you really need to invest in yourself? I would think most people really need to invest in themselves more than they really need. Some of the stuff that we buy is essential, but most of it really isn't. So just be honest with yourself in that aspect and be like, okay, do I need this, or do I need to put my foot in the door of opportunity in a time of uncertainty? Even say like the little bit of money that I do have invested, if tomorrow AI decides to take my job, then I have something to sit back on for a couple months at least, So that's how we have to look at things. I know everything moves so fast, sometimes it's hard to have that perspective. Has anyone noticed that my tripod is better now? It's not perfect, but so last week I was doing some videos on here and I was like, oh man, my car is like shaking. I'd just gotten something with my I don't know, my alignment fixed on one side because it was leaking, so I was like, it feels like the same problem, it must be going out on the other side. Whatever, in one ear, out of the other, no big deal. Well then, Thursday of last week, I'm on my way home and I hear doot, 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 doot. I'm like, oh God. Pull over on the side of the road, my tire is completely just like ripped open. Like, I've never seen a tire look like this. So I am prepared more than most people. I have a little battery powered pump, and then if the battery goes out in the little air pump, I also have like a direct hard wire that I can plug to my car. So I knew my tire was flat, completely blown out, but I was like, well, let me give it the old college drive. So I put the pump on my car. It goes from 8 psi to 0 psi. So I'm like, oh God, I'm screwed. It's hot. Started to panic, have a panic attack. I'm stuck on the side of the road. You can't leave your car on the side of the road anymore in this time of day. That's how down our society has gone, which is very sad. You know, people work very hard for the things that they have, like their vehicles and stuff that people steal from them. It's very sad. So I called my husband. He's not the best in that department. I'm just looking for some moral support and someone to come help. He's a good ways out. Anyway, he comes to meet me. We pull the jack out of the back of my car. It's a little piece of crap, if you ask me. Bends, boom, completely in half. Car falls. I'm like, oh my God. Well, needless to say, there are some good people still left in the world. So some old country boys stopped on their way to church and they came help us change the tire. So don't ever lose faith in humanity. There are some good people still in this world, but they stopped, they helped us change the tire, but there was warning signs before and I was ignoring them, and that's how I got stuck on the side of the road. So you always just want to pay attention, you know, like I should have went look at my tire, to say the least. Didn't even notice it. I did notice that my PSI was lower and that I was losing air, and I was just adding it throughout. Also, just like a little tidbit so you guys know for future reference, the reason why you want to keep all of your tires in the same PSI is because you want to keep the pressure even. Sometimes if you have a tire that's, say, overfilled, that tire is going to get most of the friction and most of the wear. So you do want to keep your PSI at the same number on all of your tires, just for a smoother ride and also for less friction on one specific tire. So learned that the hard way. I went get 2 new tires instead of being cheap and changing the one that blew out. I got a new another new tire. The ones in the front, if you have a front wheel drive vehicle, those tend to wear faster than the ones in the back. So I learned the hard way on that one, but it was just an experience. That was the first time I've ever gotten stuck on the side of the road. It's not a good feeling. If you are a girl, you always want to be prepared. You want to have a little pump in your car. I can't fix a flat. Even something to protect yourself if someone does come close to you and you don't feel comfortable. You should have a taser or a firearm in your car. I recommend all women have a firearm in their car and even in their purse. You never know when some weirdo in this world is going to come up to you, and you always want to be prepared. I have a gun. I carry it all the time. I hope that I never have to use it, but I am ready and prepared if necessary. It's just something that you shouldn't have to think about, especially in today's world. Like, they're attacking grown men, like professional football players, on the side of the road. So who am I to think that I won't get attacked in, you know, in real life? So you just always want to protect yourself, protect your money. So invest in the stock market. Watch the stocks this week. Hopefully they're gonna go through the roof. My advice is, if you're a new trader, don't like sit and wait to hope to hit the top. If you're making a good profit compared to what you have invested, cash it out. Wait for the stock to go back down, because it always does. Buy back in, let it go up again, cash out. It's about baby steps. It's really not like, oh my God, this one trade's gonna make me rich. It's like interest. It's gonna slowly accrue, and you just have to make smart moves. You have to be patient sometimes. You're not always gonna buy and it's gonna go green. A lot of times it'll go red. You just have to be patient. The market is usually a couple days ahead of you, so just think about that. Always know that, like, on a big day for business, for a particular business, that's already been calculated in if it's something that they can predict. yes, the boomers still have to work, definitely. My parents both just turned 65. We own our own business, and they are both still working at 65 because the way that the system's set up is not fair. Our parents, we all know that, worked their butts off, and they taught us good work ethic. They taught us the right things to do. And when you see them not being able to comfortably retire, it's very saddening. Oh, well, put this into your 401k, and we're just, you're going to be on easy street, as the government tells you. No, they end up inflating the prices where your little, I don't know, $1,200 to $1,800 check, that doesn't cover the insurance that you have to have. Like with home insurance going up so much, car insurance being absolutely ridiculous, and car prices. If you notice, there's not brand new vehicles all over the road anymore, because buying a car is like almost buying a house like 10 years ago. It's crazy. Both of my parents are 65. They've been trying to save money for retirement by not buying a new vehicle. So they're both in older, unreliable vehicles, and they have worked their whole lives and served the public their whole lives. We have done nothing but great business and contributed to society, and that's what you get, That's why you always have to look out for yourself. And you're right, most boomers aren't going to be selling their business right at 65, because no one has enough money to live in this high price society. And then, we pay these high prices for terrible service. My sister got in a car accident last week. When she got out of the hospital, she had a broken ankle, a fractured wrist on the opposite side, and she's on crutches. They roll her out in a wheelchair. She gives her crutches a little test. My elderly mother had to load her into the vehicle with a broken ankle. So she's like sitting on the floorboard of my mom's truck. Like she was saying, like, you should have seen the fiasco that they had going on. And I can only imagine what her bill's going to be from that. It's like, y'all don't even have people to help load people at the hospital. Like, you get absolutely terrible service and you're paying top notch for it, and it's ridiculous. Like, my parents have owned their house for a long time. They're very smart people. I admire them for that, and I do get some of their smarts in the financial field for that. They paid out their house. We lived in a house forever. They paid out the house that I was born in. And about 10 years ago, instead of going upgrade, they actually bought their second house in cash. They bought it from the sale of their other house and had a little bit more saved, so they've never had a house note. They bought the property out there. Like, they live very frugal. They don't overspend. They live a very modest life. My sister, on the other hand, is opposite. She spends until there's not a dollar left. She struggles all the time. Her house is beautiful, but at what cost? Her health and her happiness. So that's also something to consider. You never ever want to buy a house, especially at the top of your budget. We're pretty new homeowners. We bought a house in 2020, and our escrow, which is your insurance and your taxes combined, that can change every year. So they recalculate your escrow and your note changes, where our note has increased from $1,200 to over $1,500. So just say we'd have bought in at the top of our window. We had a couple tough years in the middle of 2020 to now, so that just would not have flied with us. We would have had to lose our house, and the system's just not set up in our favor, unfortunately. Our parents are the prime example of that, because we don't see the fruits of their labor come to fruition. Like I said, they've dedicated their life 40 hours a week to the American economy, and you can barely fix a hole in your wall when you retire. So it's pretty pathetic, if you ask me. But if you do have I don't know, it depends on the size of the town that you live in, but if you do know a business owner that is getting older, it might be a good time to go in, try to develop a rapport, develop a relationship with the person, and see if they might be selling their business, if they're looking to hand it down, like see where they're at. And that's a good way to get your foot in the door. To walk into a fully established business is a blessing. You might be able to get it for pennies on the dollar instead of them having to close down and lose, any profit from their business. They can sell it. So it is something to consider. I know a lot of people see that my parents are getting older. They know that I'm going to need someone to work with me. So people who come in and they smooth and they try to see what our plan is, and maybe if they want to be a part of it, So, like I said, it's just something to consider. If you're not that far into your financial journey, then I would say, like I said, grab $100, get yourself a Fidelity account, and invest in the stock market, and try your luck and see what happens. Because even just investing $100 a week, I don't even invest $100 a week, but just say I was in the position where I could easily invest $100 a week. That's $400 a month. Just say that you make $100 off of that $400 in the stock market. That's $500 a month savings, and you only spent $400. You could just save the $400 and stick it in a corner or stick it in your bank account. But what good is that? It's not making any money. I don't know, sitting money is not going to make you any money. I know it's risky to put it out there, but like I said, if you don't try, the money's not going to do it for you, and no one else is going to do it for you. So you'll just sit stagnant. If you're comfortable with that, that's great. I love people that are content. I envy people that are content. That is not something that is in my blood. Unfortunately, I'm always looking for the next opportunity that I can find. So, like I said, depending on your goals and depending on where you want your life to lead you, I don't know, if you're single or if you're married or if you have a secondary income. I'm married, but we keep our finances separate. I've always been financially independent, so I just don't need or even really want my husband to take on a financial burden for me. And that's just how I am. I'm an equal partner. I've always paid half my way, and it's just something that makes me feel accomplished and fulfilled. So I find it necessary. I deem it necessary. Yeah, but talking about the baby boomers, it really is, it's very sad to see people work their whole life and just let people live comfortably. Don't just give them enough to barely make it. That's not what we signed up for. That's what people who are able-bodied people that do not work and milk the system, they should get the bare minimum to get by. It shouldn't be the people that invested into the economy and into all of the taxes their whole life, some people go their whole life and they collect, and other people that pay taxes never get anything for it. It's just not fair. I do support taking care of the poorer community, but people, or a lot of families, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, I see it all the time. I know it firsthand. People grow up in families that are system suckers, as I would call them, professional system suckers. They don't know what a W-2 is, but they know every government form to try to steal financial help. and their parents do it, and they teach the kids to do it. You know how your parents worked, so they taught you how to work? It's the same thing, but for government fraud. And people like that should be, instead of them coming check in on businesses and stuff, they should go and check in on that. Like, go see, are you an able-bodied person riding your bike around town and saying that you're disabled? Because that's not mathin'. Or have jobs for their particular disabilities. There are some disabled people, yes, absolutely. But there's probably, just from what I've seen, more able-bodied disabled people than actual disabled people. So that would explain a little issue in our budget, and maybe why they can't provide the financial security that the baby boomers need and were promised. And then it's only going to get worse as more and more baby boomers retire, because they paid in so much money throughout the system, so that it's kind of, I don't know if you guys ever watch like the Ponzi scheme shows, but as long as the money's still coming in, the Ponzi scheme's still good. The running it is rich. Everyone is getting paid out because the money's flowing in, coming out, flowing in, coming out, just like I said with the government. But the baby boomers was the biggest generation and a very hardworking generation. They have the most wealth at this point right now on Earth. And it was all in taxes, and they've been talking about this for a decade plus, that, oh, we're not going to have enough money for the baby boomers whenever they retire. It's like everyone else. We have to budget, we have to save, we have obligations that have to be fulfilled. We don't have a backup plan like the government. The government, and we're their backup, their first plan, their secondary plan, and their backup plan. But don't you say anything against them, because then, God forbid, they'll track you down. So it's really nonsense that they don't have, and then not only have they been talking about this for 10 years, that they didn't make an executive decision to save money for the baby boomers. So what are they going to do? They're going to say, start kicking and screaming, we need to tax more, tax more, tax more. We saw what they're doing with our taxes. They're not doing anything productive like we would do with our money. They just don't understand the repercussions of having to be a responsible adult. You know, like every day we have to make executive decisions to make our finances work out in the long run, and they should be held accountable in that same realm. I personally believe it insults me when you're doing your taxes and they want every penny on the dollar calculated. It's like, we want a document of every penny on the dollar, where it was spent, and proof that it was spent. You know, like, all they do is lie, steal, and cheat. And I wish we had just normal people in the government, because the normal people and your people in your community can do a lot more for you than these overpaid middlemen. So I'm sorry guys for my little rant, but my advice this week, starting Monday, just open up the stocks on your phone. There's an app, look at the stocks, see what's going on, watch them for a week, and then we can touch base in a couple days next week, talk about the different options and ways to invest. And I'll be happy to give you the little bit of knowledge that I do have. I'm still learning every day too. So I hope you guys all have a great week, and I'll catch y'all